February 13th, 2019, 12:55 a.m. ZTE Blade X Max laying here, and it just restarted itself. I was kicked back watching a movie, and I thought, it sounds like the phone restarting itself. I looked down, and sure as crap, the phone restarted itself. Time and date, more than likely electronic interference, just like the phone I'm recording with, which is the Samsung Grand Prime. It restarted itself 3 times, not yesterday, but the day before, as I was doing a video of something that was around the corner next to the neighbor's house there, the ones that, basically put out 8 years ago that they're some type of undercover detectives one minute, and the next they just don't give a fuck. They're just tired of my shit. But it sounds like it's neglectful acts, misconducted acts, brutalized tactics. So even if they was, more than likely, with the right proof, they would lose their ability to investigate me, put together profile, all the bullshit. Not that I'm trying to avoid that completely, but hey, whatever's in my favor for whatever they're trying to do. There's been a lot of sabotage things that's happened in my life, and I've also had other police confront things in a good, proper way on my side. That somebody's accused me of something and that I was under investigation, and that was found out those people basically, it was sabotage, perjury, somebody falsely trying to blame me of something. But that even being said, there's also other incidences, actual evidence being planted somewhere, and someone trying to set me up, and just by the good Lord's faith, per se, that I had alibi, or I was on video, or something else, that it was positive I couldn't have done it. And it wasn't so harsh them coming back later on trying to give me the evidence of what they came out with that case, but at least allowed me to know, basically watch my back, which is not a good feeling when law enforcement has to tell you to watch your back. Technically, that would be illegal for them to do also, but say in good faith, that's what's happened. Even though there was also corrupted law enforcement involved, like revenge acts and other kind of situations, just no matter what, sabotage, setup, implanted, or stuff being planted type of situation, and trying to attack me socially, just like the rest of the people that are targeting me to attack. And this has gone on. This isn't like, well, a couple of years, 5 years. This is a couple of decades worth of stuff dating back. And what they've been trying to do is waste my memory for me mesmerizing shit. And it doesn't matter. We're law enforcement. You ain't allowed to think that way. Or we're authority. We're sound-minded. You ain't allowed to think that way. I'll tell you what to do. I'll make your judgment. Well, anyhow. All of this blowing out over a lot of electronic jamming, interference, data theft, a lot of electronic utilization, and a lot of it, per se, when I go to every device in my house, inside and out, has been interfered with. I'm positive of it. I've had a security alarm system back in the past. I called the company multitudes of times, and they said finally that they needed to get a hold of the FCC because there's a breach in the system. It means somebody is externally hacking the system. Not that there hasn't been toxic family members and other people that I was, or per se was around, that had access, or that's been completely right next to me, helping out the situation. But I've had perfectly good strangers in here too and tell me the same thing. There's something like micro voicing, something like LRAD, and 2 different type of powers. One is just outright like LRAD, riot control. Tons of people could hear it, or the person next to you, and it being like that devastating, shocking type of situation. Loud acoustics. But then there's also the what I call micro voice like LRAD, where they can specifically in one beam not hit nobody else except for the prime target, the main individual. And that's what I was explained way back in the day of the ability of that device. Anyhow, these other strangers in the house, same thing with the external animals. I don't get along with cats too much, But I allowed a couple of cats in a couple of times, and they just flipped out. I've had 2 different dogs here. They flipped out. There's somebody making behavioral bonding persuasions with the dog in their favor, trying to control the dog, outdoing me. You're a mental retard for allowing us to dominate your dog too. Type of situation, being attackable. I reported this shit to mental health 8 years ago, 2011, into 2011, and incidences as far as the beginning of 2012. With that being said, they agreed with me. While these other people are pushing there's some type of authority and they'll make judgment, I was told technically it sounds illegal of what they're doing. If proven and getting the right representation, but the point was they also understood the corruption. Who's going to stand my grounds when I'm convicting their officers, their agents, and whatnot? You're just not going to do it because you'd take grief in your bureau, much less if that you're participating with it. It'd be held accountable to a lot of different people besides just the perp, more than likely. Anyways, electronic jamming, electronic interference. I'm not trying to go into microwave guns because that's getting out of law enforcement hands to a point, but even that type of shit. Sound effects, well sounds, when I'm asleep, sirens, that's not even on a vehicle. All kinds of different things. Loud pitched tones, completely just drowning out situations while I'm asleep. The thing is it's not happened just here in this house. I was in New York City. I've been elsewhere around the whole United States, and it's happened elsewhere. It was caught, and a few of the community members in New York City was concerned about an individual that kept coming out to the property that week that I was having problems. Well, there's more than just that week, but just a definite extra additive. And this person kept showing up as if he was targeting me with some type of sonar dish, some type of maybe eavesdropping equipment or whatnot. But in my recollection, because they asked what was happening, and I jumped up and ran and caught to some bitch, then right after they allowed me to know there is somebody there. Don't be, don't make it out and don't allow them to take advantage of you that you're crazy. There was somebody there. There's been somebody there like 4 or 5 days now. Some shit like that. I caught him, but at the same time, I didn't catch him quick enough. I caught him. He took off fucking running with his equipment, got into a car and drove off. And I was in a field camped out, so I had a tent and stuff like that. So when I seen him, I still caught him. It was an Italian guy as far as I know. It was a neighbor that came from Columbus, Ohio, that was out in New York City of another family member's friend that we had stayed with because I was homeless and all the stuff that's compiled that they was sabotaging my life with, and all the crippling is the way I'll put it right now. All the sabotage, all the assaultive situation taking a toll on me. I couldn't even get a job. Still can't. But to a point. And them also trying to interfere with me getting a job, literally. Physically, verbally, directly and indirectly interfering with me getting a job anywhere. Not just, oh, well, in this community, we're talking about, I keep mentioning, across the United States. And there has been minor, and some of it's been major, representation by law enforcement. But there's also been corrupted law enforcement connections across the United States. I gotta watch how I say things, when and what incident and what cops are involved. Florida State, they busted a whole lot of shit. But also in Florida State, somebody put me in the damn computer for A1 murder. And there is another detective following me around and walked up to these guys and told them, I know for a damn fact something is definitely not right with that. 1,000,000,000%. He's been here. The community members know he's been right here. There's no way he committed that crime across the city. Whoever put that in your computer, I'm going to give, and it shouldn't even been given that. I'm going to give you the time to take it out of however it got in the computer, because you really can't. There's digital footprints, and what was explained to me, that they couldn't even take it out. Once it's entered, it's locked, even if it wasn't a true or not. But somehow it came up out of the system. Either it came up out of the system or they changed the name on the situation. But they showed me the computer situation being nasty with me. So you have a certain set amount of cops trying to outbeat the other cops, just outright also attacking what would be maybe considered their fellow officers. And that was a damn lie. Not all of them get along, while there's also threat internally, and that's another reason why sometimes things don't get represented. You got an officer being threatened by somebody that's making good enough weight and threat, they're not going to do shit. They're afraid them damn selves. So it's a mass ordeal. All of this stuff in the morning, and it's great that I caught it, that another phone, another device is acting up. This time it's full functionality. It was laying by itself. It was laying there for 30, 40 minutes, and it just so happens to restart itself. Again, there's been other times that phone's restarted itself, and just like the phone I'm using here, the Grand Prime, very seldom and very rare does it ever restart itself per se to an update. There hasn't been any updates issued, so that's not the factor. The reasons of this and that, it's just couldn't be a factor, except for also somebody influencing with a little weight, either mumbling, toning, or threatening a day before, or whatever it is, making it out that they're jamming and taking the data, eavesdropping on top. And that's another thing, they eavesdrop, listen in, or obtain what information I'm recording with, what I'm looking at, even if it isn't recording a video or audio, even just internet browsing, all the good stuff, and try to intellectually challenge me in public with it. Extorting is the way I'll put it for right now. At the store, I guess is the way you put it, is where they're telling things that I've been looking at, or the recordings I'm doing. Oh, you want to play bitch? You said such and such, and then they also offer up, past history. You remember Florida, don't you? All that power that I just talked about, corrupt acts happening, and me almost getting jacked up. Somebody falsely implanting or planting evidence or planting a charge or whatever it is wrongfully, illegally against myself, and just intimidatedly threatening that way. But anything that I'm doing inside my house, there's incidences where they're saying, blue cup, you was just drinking out of that dirty blue cup. How do you know how the hell are you going to give me a collar of the freaking cup that I'm drinking out of unless you got visual somehow? Now, it could get down to technicality if the visual has been taken out, because I have found cameras and microphones, pinhole cameras and microphones in other places. If it wasn't not my place to stay, but say friends and family, and realized, holy shit, they was involved, filming, taping, and allowing that to be broadcasted to a point, even way back in the day. And the situation started back in 2000 when they started intimidating that they're just going to keep watch on me. But even back then, they could broadcast a signal over a modem and put it into a network. All the broadcasting video stuff most people think is new, you wasn't able to really do until about 2002 per se. I don't know what your mind state is. A lot of people's like, well, that stuff didn't exist. As far as I know, it didn't exist back then. Well, it did. And then now it's just easier and easier. So them being able to be away from the house and do their group organizational stuff. One main point that I'll put with that is there is, and somebody else has mentioned, just like New York City, just strangers talking to, or people trying to keep track, good community members saying, hey, you just showed up and these people showed up with you. You showed up and there's brand new actions in the community these people are starting that wasn't here to begin with. Or some stranger walking up and, hey, I've seen you the last 3 days out here because I don't work, they do. Either smoking a cigarette or panhandling. Not that I was always panhandling, but say put it into a predicament, go back to the same spot. And, I've noticed that when you leave or something, that this other person is following you. So, like stalking. And I've seen them do things, I've heard things that ain't right. But what has been considered also is by stranger contact, and even some law enforcement mumbling type of situation, and iterations and understand this by multitudes of different, I won't just say law enforcement, authoritative, even psychological doctors and stuff. Homosexual organized crime. There's a lot of homosexuality connected, and a lot of stuff that comes out of that too, that I'm not even going to dig into in this video. I mention that in all my videos, and I want it worked on because it's going to be found out that I'm also being socially attacked. If it isn't homosexual organized crime, it's still homosexual organizational of social enforcing what their views and points are, taking advantage of the situation just like anybody else. So, with that being said, that's all about what I'm going to throw in this video. Maybe I started it, tried to get the video started, the camera, it didn't dysfunction on this phone, even though when I'm outside the house, I've had it to where I've had it pretty cleared up, but I've also had electronic jamming, massive severity, externally outside the house, even in other states type situations. So I'm not gonna do it. Something in this community and these people is more bigger than just being local hometown communal situation and me making a complaint. And I've made these complaints for years, so apparently nobody's given the right amount of hand to a certain point, and at times maybe, but those times are great because a lot of the power, the strength, the threat, intimidation situation goes away or suppresses itself. And these guys are intelligent enough, though, to know when that situation's happening, and as soon as the help ends, they come right back. They start their shit again. They try to make themselves look like saints, or make themselves look like saints and blame me for being psychotic because I can't prove the incidences against them. Anyways, so that being said, I'm here in Columbus, Ohio, right next to downtown, within about a 4-block radius, if even that. Right off of Rich Street, Gift Street, Town Street, McDowell Street. A lot of brand new construction, a lot of city work stuff. And this is how you get corrupted city engineers, city police chiefs, city this, city that, whatever it be, connectivity. You got a bad community, these people are a part of that, they see it, understand it, they can't get over the power, so they join in on it, or they allow it to happen, or they find where they've been lied to, and it's still misconduction, but they're following the wrong path because somebody said something bad about somebody, taking the stance on that type of side until the full truth blows out, and then they find out they was completely in the wrong, even though they should be able to refer back to their own system, their own county, not even just a city, their own county system, and get some of the information themselves, which I've had happen. I had to talk to supervisors over law enforcement officers trying to get too personal with me and tell me how life works. And the doctors told me straight up when I was probated into mental health, and they gave a little bit of hand. And that's another situation. I'm talking good about a place or good about certain situations, and there's completely terrible situations at the same instant of time or the same time frame of that same facility. And it may not be the doctors, but the facility that they represent. Just completely nasty stuff. And the guys that I'm complaining about, they had access, like they have some type of criminology, mental health background, and threatening on the inside of their performing acts. And they was also, and that was 7 years ago, 2011, 2012 thing, where they was relaying stuff that I was looking at on the internet. And one of the things was, this is a weight bench. It was a joke. You put a pin in the weight bench and a cable weight bench in the wrong position, it fires out, and it might pop the person in the head, but you're not supposed to utilize it on a high weight setting like they did me. It didn't just pop me in the head, it left a big old knot, massive knot, and on top the humiliation while they sit there and laugh at it, and the staff didn't even pick up on it. What? You're going to look crazy if you tell anybody. Need to look more into it myself to get a good gist of being able to explain it, but how they would have access to be able to be a part of the same system while I'm locked up under their perjurization of situation to probate me. And that's what the doctor said, a lot of perjury and affidavits, wrongness, and it seems like somebody's trying to systematically assault. And they're systematically assaulting you, taking away your freedom, your rights, and it's like a strangulation situation. Look what I've done to you, choking me off of being able to live happy and joyful and all the rest of the stuff. Anyways, but yeah, the doctors are the ones that was helping out in that situation. And to a certain extent, there's other situations that happened that wasn't right, but there you have it. county doctors out doing judgment over top of law enforcement. Why would they have to do that? On top, law enforcement shouldn't have been writing out what there also is called pink slips or anything else, and it should be investigated. At which point, some of it's died out, some of it hasn't. There's just too much to explain. There's still involvement, still picking, still vehicular verbal harassment, vehicular non-verbal body communication and intimidation. And if it's not just intimidation, just minor harassment, but still, it's from law enforcement. It's disrespectful. It's disgracing my character in the neighborhood while you participate with those who are disgracing my character, not just in the neighborhood, citywide stuff. And, that becomes life-threatening, just like the system told me. I'm not over-exaggerating of having to stand my grounds and possibly do something in a severe way of having to protect myself, such as utilize a gun to protect myself. And we had talks about being able to get a permit for myself by them petitioning the state with me, because I'm in an unsafe situation to be able to carry an open carry firearm to protect myself against the situations that are happening. I never went forward with it though. Didn't have enough money, not enough physical strength to a point to say that that I could fight. Not needed, that I could fight it. And too bad I didn't do it, because that would have worn off per se in like 6 months or whatever. The helping hands. Who knows if even the doctors would remember me. Not that I'd ever say it that way. I know they would remember me, but you get the gist. The length of time in between then and now is different, but I would still say I should still feel that I would be able to take advantage of that right. It's not necessarily that I would have been approved, but with enough force, hey, they can force enough authority themselves and get things approved. If there's enough authority standing on my side to force for the open carry to go ahead, it won't just intimidate, it'll stand grounds that I'm protecting myself. They won't be so much apt to trying to assault and get away with it, harass and get away with it, intentionally try to intimidate with intent of severe injury. Now that they'll be able to see a weapon or a defense weapon in place, they'll definitely keep their mouth kind of shut, their physical self from stalking and following and harassing, and not going out in public and trying to do the stuff they're doing, much less the other hardcore severity stuff that the doctor sort of knows. But hey, somebody's telling me they didn't write nothing down for you, buddy. I'm not going to represent it. I work for the system, and I got your paperwork, and there's nothing here saying that and this. If there was, I'd have torn it up, thrown it in the trash. What you going to do about it type situation. But anyways, I'm going to end this video with that lengthy-ass video over a dang phone restarting itself early in the morning, doing me just sitting here. But really it isn't, because the phone that I have in my hand and other electronics have escalated in electronic interference. This phone, while I'm doing an important video, restarting itself 3 times in a row. Is that not a sign? What's up, dude? Overhearing minor voices, no matter what it is. And I was standing outside, not inside, outside. Like I said, I came around a corner doing a video of something, and I had to go back hours later and redo that video, because that video and 3 other videos disappeared, which was probably because the phone restarted. The raw data didn't save itself or something. There's a bunch of other things that I was at the store, and again, the camera dysfunctioned, and I have a background recorder sometimes playing or something, or a background app, and they just shut themselves out. Excuse, well, that's how some things happen. No more excuses. You don't have that happening. Your furnace doesn't kick on when the furnace thermostat isn't even set to dang fucking 45 degrees, and it wouldn't have kicked on unless it hit 45 degrees, right? Well, maybe it's messed up. Let me guess. Furnace, the dryer, the electric box, DVR, laptops, TV, modems, the whole kit and caboodle, everything's just messed up. Externally outside the house, it's messed up. I get a brand new phone and not even make it home yet, and it's already being interfered with. Something to the effect. Anyways, tired of rambling on? Another log entry for myself. I'm going to upload this video for sure because there's a lot of rambling that has a good talk for myself to keep notes with, to open it up to other people, even though, yes, I'm in fear of the other people utilizing it against me, but for in a certain factor, they've done that since 2008 and just outright ruined my life with the intent to ruin my life with stuff that I had posted on the internet. And some of the system that I'm dealing with understood that, the doctors themselves. I didn't want to let law enforcement know it while you're getting some prick to come off that if you don't tell me, then I can't help you, or if you don't tell me, I won't help you, and on top, I'll give you a pink slip threat type of situation. Next thing you know, and it's already happened, I give up information. Oh, we can't do nothing about it. And then it's leaked around the neighborhood to their friends and family. Oops, 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 and look how much I can get away with type of situation of exploiting myself and whatnot, or how I dealt with that situation. But anyways, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and press stop on this video. I say that in most of my videos, if not all of them, for the last 8 years due to electronic interference, electronic jamming, whatever you want to call it there. Anyhow, I'm going to end this video and post it, and hopefully, by the stuff, even 2008, anybody else obtaining this information, it's not to be utilized against me, but hey, what you post on the internet, if you don't want your mom to see it, then don't post it type of situation, whatever that wording goes. I'm a little bit tired right now, was just about to go to sleep. That's another thing, somebody calling or the phone ringing by itself in the middle of my sleep, bugging me, waking me up like sleep deprivation. So I left my phone in a different location, even though it starts multitudes of different phones doing the same thing, multitudes of different devices. I'm still apt to something happening. It's just something that I've stuck with my whole life, of being able to answer the phone in case of an emergency or whatever it be, or hear the phone and recognize the phone's ringing, or whatever is happening. But there's other stuff that's going on, but you can kind of maybe understand somebody making it ring, ring, ring. As soon as I wake up, it stops. Hey, they got enough power to restart the phone. They got enough power to steal the data off of it. They have already enough power to close out apps and open up apps externally while I'm holding the phone in my damn hand, either here in the house or even outside the house, out and about. And I'm sure everybody can understand, without just the micro voicing technology, the LRAD type situation, being able to beam the sound effects, which is also happening, to be able to utilize the devices directly themselves. Blocking out alarm clocks and shit like that going off. Failure to log reminders and stuff like that. But I carried that one out extra long, and I said, hey, I'm going to stop this video. So I am stopping this video now, and I'll be uploading it. Peace.